Good evening, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are live. I'm just waiting for a few seconds for people to join, but welcome to this live YouTube session discussion. I'm just going to give a few minutes for for people to potentially join. If not, we will um, make a start. If you're watching the replay, welcome as well. Thank you so much for coming back to watch this. My name is Olufolake Ayeyemi, and I'm the founder of the Bloom and Flourish Hub, where we provide a safe space for women over the age of 30 to bloom and flourish together. Um, Today we have a live session. Welcome, welcome. I see people joining. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome to another live session. The first YouTube live. I did a test a few days ago, but this is the first actual live. And I have a special guest, somebody that is very dear to me, that will be having a conversation this evening. If you know anyone that will benefit from joining us, please share the link. Let them know that we are live. Let them know that we have started. Let them know that something interesting is happening on this show or this is this show. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. I won't take too much of our time. I guess people will join us as we go along. I'm going to bring my guest up in a second. Before I do that, if you are watching and you have not yet subscribed, please do that one step and just click on the subscribe button. Just click on that subscribe button so that one, you'll be able to enjoy this session a bit more. And also, next time that we are on live, you would also be notified. So, subscribe and click on that notification sign so you can get updates for when we're live. My special guest today is somebody that is very dear to me, as I said earlier, a woman who is influential, a woman who I'm trying not to say too much because I want her to come and tell us about herself. But this woman, Detola Amure, is somebody special to me and somebody that has been instrumental in my own personal growth. So as we came up to International Women's Day, I knew that it was only right to invite somebody like her to come and have a chat and let's talk about how we can grow, how we can bloom, and how we can flourish together. So I'm going to bring her up in a second, but just welcome. I see people saying hello in the chat. Thank you so much. Please share the link. Share the link, share the link. Let's get as many ladies and even men to join us, as many people as possible. Without further ado, I am going to bring into the studio my special guest, Detola Amure, known as Coach Dates, known as so many other fantastic, lovely names because of the amazing things that she does. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. I know how busy you are. I know that being here was a huge sacrifice. So I'm so grateful to have you on live with me. Thank you so much for coming. We're going to get right into it. And I'm going to please ask you to introduce yourself to all of us, please.
Oh, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you.
Okay, good evening. And thank you so much, Olufolake, for this opportunity. I don't take it for granted at all. And I can never be too busy for my super working mom. So I think um, after my family, my super working moms come next. So clear the diary, clear everything just to be here today because I know that this is
Okay.
an important conversation. So thank you for the opportunity to be here today with you on this Bloom and Flourish Live. So, as you rightly said, my name is Detola Amore. And did you say I should introduce myself?
Yes, please.
Okay. I wasn't sure if I was jumping ahead of myself.
No.
Right. So yeah, my name is Detola Amure, and I identify as an activator. So when I think about myself, I think of myself as someone who activates anyone that comes into my space, particularly women, into a life of destiny, helping them unlock what is already on the inside of them. I've had people tell me that when they meet me or when they work with me, or just even from a conversation, you know, it's almost like I bring language to something that they have been looking for and they're not quite sure how to place it.
Mm,
But then they are able to, from one conversation or interaction with me, they are able to, there's something that gets activated on the inside of them, helping them to walk on a life of purpose. So I think my assignment on this earth is to help others um, live a life of significance, find it, be activated, infuse courage on the inside of them in order to help them do what they are called to do. So that's me. I'm an activator. I'm a midwife, and when I say midwife, not in the medical profession, but
mm,
more on when it comes to birthing dreams. I help people to birth their big dreams. I am a wife. I am a mother, sister, friend, coach, mentor. um, I run number of organizations. We probably won't even get into that. I'm an author. I run a podcast, well, two podcasts actually. I'm a co host on a podcast which talks about grief. It's called When Life Stops. And the other podcast is called Get Productive with Detola, where I talk about anything productivity. Yeah, there's a whole lot more, but I think I'll stop there
mhm.
for now. I'm a speaker, I'm a trainer. Yeah, so much. Oh, I'll stop there for now.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yes, I know for sure there is a long, very long list of things that you do. And I'm going to come to that in a minute because, as women, sometimes I don't want to jump ahead of myself with the question, but there is so much that you do. And, in all of it, lots and lots of women are being blessed. And I'll come to my question that is um, directed towards that so you can shed a bit more light on it for us. But before that, I just want to say hello again to everyone in the comments. Thank you so much. I see lots of comments about who you are. You call out the golden people. I know these are people that have worked with you. You're a midwife, coach, so many other things. And I have been privileged to work with you. Actually, it's going to be 10 years in April that I started working with you on my own personal growth, and the difference in my own life in the last 10 years. I don't think I should go there because otherwise the whole conversation will go there. But that's just to show how, when a woman gets up and gets on, what they're being called to do, how it affects other women. And I know many other women, not just me, many other women that have been blessed by what you do. So I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you for pouring, continually pouring into people. And again, at the end, towards the end, or at some point during this conversation, we're going to talk about how people can work with you, because I feel like in this age, in this day that we are in, women need to take ownership of their own growth and their own progress and their own advancement. And people like you have been positioned to be the midwife, to be the activator, to help us become the best possible version of ourselves. So, yeah, we will come to that. But in terms of questions, I do have a few questions that I want to ask. But I'll also ask our audience, if you have any questions for Coach Dates, please put it in the chat, and we will ask Coach your questions. In the meantime, I'm going to ask the first question. And I know that one of your roles is, or one of the things that you do is that you're a productivity coach. And you, like you said earlier, you support women to activate what's inside them or what God has called them to do. So I know the word productivity sometimes is perceived in a wrong way, and sometimes it's seen as, just doing and being looking busy. But I wanted you to shed a bit more light on what that actually means. What does productivity, or what should it mean? What should it look like for us as women?
Okay, thank you for that question. And before I answer that question, I also wanted to, acknowledge you, and I want to acknowledge the great work that you are doing, and how over the years I have seen you blossom, I have seen you bloom, I've seen you flourish. And I just want to say that I'm proud of the woman that you are today. I'm proud of what God is doing through you. All the different, the way you've really blossomed into this amazing woman is something that gives me joy. And so I just wanted to really acknowledge you, to say that I see you, and I'm happy to be, I'm privileged to be on this journey with you and for allowing me to be your coach. So I wanted to say that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so productivity. What is productivity? Now you're so right. When people talk about productivity, the first thing that comes to what most people's minds is, you know, you're getting stuff done, you're achieving stuff, you are, crossing out things on your to-do list and all of those amazing things. And that's good, right? It's all well and good. But one of the organizations I run is called the Productivity Company, and our tagline is redefining productivity, especially in the
Mm,
workplace.
mm,
And that is because I have come to understand that productivity starts from what's happening on the inside of us. It's not about to-do lists, it's not about tools. Yes, those things are good. They can enable
mm,
you to be more productive, but your best productivity tool is your mind.
mm,
And so if your mind is not, all together, if you are not, um, congruent in your mind, it's going to affect. You might have all the tools in the world, but you find that you're not using them because your mind isn't productive. And so true productivity for me is about prioritizing. It starts with purpose, knowing what your purpose is. It's about prioritizing that, knowing it, embracing purpose. It's about maximizing your time. And we use that
mm,
word a lot. The other organization I run, which I haven't mentioned, Super Working Mom, um, we talk about maximizing our time a lot so that we can manifest our big dreams. And that is where productivity comes in. It's about creating space for the things that truly matter,
mm,
that truly matter, which then leads to a fulfilled and significant life. So, um, like I said, the tools are great, but it starts with what is happening on the inside of you. It start it starts with what's happening in your mind. It starts with those things that you are saying to yourself, and not just your mind, even your emotions,
mm,
right? I talk a lot about productivity blockers. There are things
mm,
that can block you from prioritizing purpose, from maximizing your time, from manifesting your dreams. And those things that, things like burnout, grief,
mm,
comparison, communication clashes, lack
mm,
of purpose, just, doing stuff because you think that is what you are meant to be doing, because that is what the world says you should be doing, but not
mm,
what God says you should be doing. And again, in everything I do, I bring in my faith. My faith is really, really central to everything
mm,
that I do, even in the corporate space. So whether I'm working in the corporate space or working, outside the corporate space, my faith anchors everything that I do. So again, true productivity is really about what's happening on the inside, and it's about prioritizing purpose, maximizing time, and making time, creating space and time for the things that truly matter. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, there's something about me listening to you, and I know that, I've known you for a long time, but every single time, and I pray I never get used to it, you just have, like, you just drop so much gems, like, in that short, paragraph or few sentences that you just said, there's just so much in there. And productivity blockers, that it kind of just sticks with me, and I'm thinking, we don't. I don't think we really. Maybe I speak for myself. Really think about those things that block our productivity.
Yeah.
Yet sometimes we're struggling, but we don't think what could be blocking it. We then sometimes put the blame on ourselves that we're not doing enough. We're not doing enough. Meanwhile, there's some things, like you said, that we need to look into, that might be in the way. And at different seasons, it will be different things.
Yeah.
You know, that's really, really important. Um, and I want to kind of link that into my next question, where in trying to be productive, you then find a lot of women, a lot of us, because I say women, but including me. Um, you hear one thing you hear a lot from women is that I'm busy. I'm busy. If you ask a woman, "Oh, can you do this?" I'm so busy. We are always busy. We are always you know chasing, looking for, trying to achieve stuff, working, caring for others. Doing all these things, trying to build our lives, build our families. Um, but it seems that our focus is more on the achievement, um, than than the growth. And I know this is something we
Mm.
talk about a lot in the Super Working Mom, but I wanted you to shed a bit more light into that. Why is that women are? It feels like we're constantly chasing, but there's no fulfillment as such. There's no growth. Why would you say that's the case?
Um, I would say that a lot of it comes from the expectations
Mm,
that society has placed on us, right? Society has taught us that when you're busy doing, when you're
mm,
busy doing, then you're achieving. Society rewards doing. And when I say doing, doing that is out there, right? That people can see.
mm,
And because of that, a lot of women, many of us wear this badge of busyness because it's almost as
mm,
if I can show you how busy I am, then I am productive.
mm,
But busyness and productivity are two different things, right? So, and it's also probably because we crave external validation,
mm,
like, oh, she's so busy. And it's interesting, when we came on, you said, oh, I know you're busy, but thank you. And that's why I said, no, for things that matter, I am not too busy.
mm. Yeah.
Sometimes we even use business as an excuse, right? Yeah, busyness. We use it as an excuse when we don't want to do stuff. We say
Yeah.
you're busy, right? And so we wear this badge of business, where we are equating productivity or flourishing to I'm getting busy, I'm busy. But
Mm,
sometimes many people are busy on um is a hamster wheel. You're just going around.
mm,
You're not necessarily progressing forward. You're
mm,
just like busy in this loop,
mm,
this ever-ending loop. And so when people commend us and say, "Oh, well done, I see what you're doing," it
mm.
gives us, that sense of dopamine, right?
Yeah.
That happy
Mm,
hormone. We're being rewarded because people are telling us how they can see how busy we are.
mm,
But inner growth, which you spoke about inner growth sometimes, a number of times, requires you to be still, which is not
mm,
comfortable. It requires you to sit down with your feelings, with your thoughts, with what's working, what's not working. And that's hard work if you think about it.
mm,
We don't want to do that. We just want to keep going, want to keep going. And even, in the work I do as a grief specialist, I did mention that as well. I work as a grief specialist. One of the things that many people do to suppress their grief, and I'm using that as an example because grief
mm,
can be a productivity blocker. But one
mm,
of the things that many people who are grieving do to suppress their grief is to keep busy.
mm,
So I've had clients, I know people who they've had a major loss, but next thing they're enrolling for another master's or a PhD, or they go run a marathon. Now there's nothing wrong with any of those things on the surface,
mm,
but most times it's because they don't want to
mm,
sit with their feelings.
mm,
So even if we take that out of, grief is one thing, but just the everyday life,
mm,
many of us don't want to sit down with our thoughts.
Mm.
We don't want to sit down with our emotions. So we just we keep doing stuff. We keep doing stuff for the sake of doing stuff. But those,
Yeah.
remember what I said earlier about creating space and time for the things that matter.
Mm.
Sometimes when we're busy, it's not for the things that matter. We are just,
Mm.
sometimes we ask ourselves, okay, I said I was busy, but what was I really busy doing? Right? What was I really,
Mm.
really busy doing? So
Yeah.
there is a difference between productivity and just being busy. And I remember
Mm.
during the lockdown, I had a lot more clients then because in that season,
Mm.
because we were forced to be at home
Stop.
and we were forced to come face to face with our feelings and our thoughts. So um why do we go around, constantly being busy? Because of society has taught us that
Mm.
we need to do. But what
Mm.
we actually should be trying to achieve more of is
Mm.
be. So I don't know,
Yeah.
you've probably heard me say things like be,
Do
do,
have
and then
have.
have.
Yeah.
But many of us are in the doing because of
Yeah.
we want to have, but we
Yeah.
don't want to become. We don't
Mm.
want to go through the process of becoming the person
Mm.
that does and
Mm-hmm.
then has. So yes, there's
Mm.
nothing wrong with doing, but are you
Mm-hmm.
doing the right things? Are you doing the
Yeah.
things that is in alignment with your purpose, with your assignments,
Mm.
or are you just busy? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That is so. Yeah. Be do have is something. If you wake me up in my sleep, it's one of the things that I've heard it so many times. And I think that kind of links back to identity. And I'm going to ask a question about that because I feel like becoming, sometimes what's in the way is because we don't really understand who we are. We don't know who we are. But I'll come to that because I see there's some questions in the chat which is still about the productivity blockers. Um, the two questions in the chat. So I don't know if you would like to kind of shed a bit more light. The questions are around to how to identify um, or any tips to recognize or overcome the
Right.
blockers.
Okay, that's a very powerful question. I think in order to identify a productivity blocker, self-awareness is
Mm,
so key. It comes back to sitting with yourself. It comes back
mm,
with examining your thoughts. It comes back to asking yourself questions. Okay, is this what I'm meant to be doing in this season? Or I
mm,
don't even know what I'm meant to be doing in this season. I feel like I'm meant to be doing this, but I don't have the energy. I don't feel energized, or I don't even have the
mm,
motivation. So those are some ways to identify a productivity blocker. When, for example, maybe, and I'm going to talk like every 5 sentences, I will mention God. God has given you an assignment or has said, I would like you to do this, my daughter.
mm,
And you know in your heart of hearts that this is what you're meant to be doing now. But for
mm,
some reason, you can't just find the strength or the energy or the motivation to get it started. Or maybe you're
mm,
just confused. So that could be a productivity blocker. You
mm,
so that's an example of someone who knows what they're meant to be doing, but they're not doing it. A
mm.
productivity blocker could also be, I don't even know what I'm meant to be doing, but I
Yeah.
know, I can sense that where I am at is not where I'm meant to be. Right. And many of the women in Super Working Mom have had that experience.
Mm-hmm.
A number of the ladies, interestingly, when they are pregnant
Mm,
or maternity leave,
mm-hmm.
again, it's like you now have time to sit with yourself, right? So you can just there's just this
Mm,
restlessness within you that
mm,
I'm meant to be doing something. I don't know what it is. So that's one
mm.
category. Or
Yeah.
okay, I now know what it is. I don't even know how to move forward. So that
Mm,
is a product. It can be a productivity blocker. When you've gone through loss, that's a big one.
mm.
Because
Yeah.
I know when I went through my own loss, that was my major productivity blocker. I could not
Mm,
think, I could not create, I could, my creativity juices were no longer flowing. And
mm,
so, things like grief, things like trauma can be
mm.
blockers. You know,
Yeah.
knockdown of your confidence, those kind of things
mm,
can block you from being productive. Because remember, productivity is you're investing your time in things that matter, in what you're meant
yeah.
to be doing. So if you're not able to do that, then there's something blocking you. Or it could be
Mm,
things that people have said to you in the past, or it could even
mm,
be unforgiveness, right? Some
yeah.
of those things can block your productivity.
Mm,
And then the other question was, please, what advice would you give if it seems there's a block in the flow by being productive? I would say get help.
mm,
And when I say get help, it could be as simple as talking to a friend about it and just say, oh, I'm feeling blocked in this way. Because
mm,
one thing that comes with acknowledging something is that it loses its hold when
mm,
you give it, when you give something, when you label something, you give it a name, that
mm,
hold that it has in your mind is
yeah.
broken. So it
Mm-hmm,
could be as simple as talking to a friend, but it could,
mm,
if it's something really, like if it's grief, I would say speak to a grief specialist like myself, or speak to a therapy. There's nothing wrong with therapy, right? Of
mm,
course, be guided, right,
mm-hmm,
in doing that. Um, but yeah, I would say getting help.
mm,
And I'm sure as we go along, I'll talk about a
yeah.
few other things that will probably answer that question. But yeah,
Mm.
I'll stop there for now. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, thank you so, so much. And as you were talking, I was just thinking of myself again, as I said earlier, around this time 10 years ago, I started to work with you. And I remember in that time, one of the first things I realized was that I had no identity. I didn't know. I think the only thing about myself that I could say was that I was a wife and a mom. And aside that, I could not identify. Um, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I think I lost you for like
Okay.
second there. Yeah.
Okay. So I was saying that when I first started working with you about 10 years ago, I think one of the things I quickly realized was that my identity was, I had identity crisis, if that makes sense, because I didn't quite know. And I remember being asked to introduce myself, and I couldn't because I just didn't know who I was. There was no
Mm,
language. I didn't. And I think that was the first step to my liberation, if you like, is to start to learn from all the things that the courses that we do in the academy, which we will come to in a minute, about myself and who I am and what I'm supposed to be doing. And also, you said just now how sometimes we go through seasons where you're like, is this what am I supposed to be doing? Who am I? I
mm,
was at that point where I thought this can't be what there is to my life. There has to be more. And the search for more was what led me
yeah.
to Super Working Mom. So
Mm,
women go through these phases, and I think it's a blessing to be able to find help and support, a community, the
yeah.
right people. Like you said, talk to people, but it has to be the right people as well. It has to be people who, their thoughts, their way of life aligns with yours, aligns with God, if, aligns with your values, your faith, and all the important things that help solidify that. So yeah, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for being in the audience. Thank you for your comments. I see another question um, that says if you can sense that what you're doing at the moment is time to move, but you don't know what to do or you're afraid, what advice would you give?
Ah, that's a big one. I think again it goes back to sitting with your thoughts. Why am I afraid? You want to ask yourself
Mm,
those questions, those hard questions. Why am I afraid?
mm,
What what is it costing me by
mm,
still staying in this place where I'm at? And I already know I am meant to move. What is it costing me? Because sometimes if we don't put a cost to things, we think, oh, it's okay, there's time. What am I what am I gaining by staying where I am now?
mm,
What will I gain if I move forward? What's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen if I live where I am today? Because so I'll use myself as an example. Before I started Super Okay Mom, I used to work as a business analyst, and I knew that God was calling me to start Super Okay Mom. And so I had my own plans. I was pregnant with my son, and I was like, when I'm because I was working as a contractor at the time, and I said when I am 6 months pregnant or so, I can't remember, I would start my maternity leave. Da, da, da. So I had my own plans, and I'm sure God was just looking at me smiling. 3 months pregnant, I lose my job. The budget cuts. My contract had been renewed for a year, but then they came along and said they didn't need me anymore, and that was devastating. Now, obviously, God pushed me into, or life, should I say, pushed me that way.
Mm,
But the point is, I went through my maternity leave. It was scary. I'm like, okay, maybe I should go back to work and whatnot. But one thing I told myself was, okay, now that I'm in this position where I am, I can only move forward. I can't, there's no
mm,
point crying over split milk, right? But even if this thing doesn't work out, I have my
mm,
computer science degree, I have my business analysis CV. I
mm,
can
mm.
always go back. Worst
Yeah.
case scenario, right? I can always
Mm-hmm.
come back. Even though in
Mm.
my mind I knew that that wasn't,
Yeah.
that season had ended, but I still had those skills, and I would
Mm,
never lose them. Does that make sense? So what's the worst that
mm,
can happen, right? You have these skills, you can exactly opportunity cost. You want to
mm,
be asking yourself some of these hard questions, and if and I know it's not if you're someone who and a number of people do find it difficult to sit down to ask yourself those questions. That's where talking to a coach comes in. Because
mm,
even sometimes there are time there's the things that I want to do and I find it difficult. And so I find someone who has gone through that process or someone who I believe can help me and have a
mm,
conversation with them. One conversation can make a whole lot of difference.
mm,
You see. So find someone who you can speak to, who has your back, will not judge, will not analyze, is there to support you. And that
mm,
conversation might be what. And again, be prayerful and ask God, okay, lead me to whoever I need to speak to in this season.
mm,
Right. Of
mm,
course, Holy Spirit can talk to you and all, but he can also lead you to teachers,
mm,
he can lead you to
mm,
mentors, he can lead you to coaches that can ask you some hard questions that you might find difficult to ask yourself. And that might be the thing that would ignite courage in you to take the step. So I always say, ask yourself the questions, but also be accountable to someone else and say,
mm,
call it what it is. I know it is time to move, and I'm glad that you phrased it that way, but I am afraid. And then you can
mm.
walk through that with a coach or with a mentor. So I
Yeah.
hope that helps.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's so good. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's really, really, really important to find the right support. That's why God, I feel like God, the experiences of people like coaches like yourself, God kind of prepares you so that you can then help, people like us that He um, has assigned to you to help. And I know many of us can testify to the blessing of working with a coach, a great coach at that, like yourself. So thank you so much, and thank you everyone for being here. I hope you're learning or enjoying, or let's know how is this been for you. Is this, have you picked one or two things from what coach has been sharing? If possible, share your highlights. Which ones have stood out to you the most? I have a few more questions, and at the end, I'm going to ask, not yet, but at the end, I'm going to ask you to tell us um, how ladies can work with you. I know you work primarily really with women, but I know you also sometimes,
Yeah.
and I know that there might be some men on as well, or watching now or watching it back later. We're going to talk about that, but before that, I wanted to talk about guilt um,
Mm,
for women. So, having spoken about all of these things and, you know, you get to a point where you ask yourself all the questions, and you get on the right track, and you start this journey of purpose, or for lack of a better phrase. Um, and then as you go along the journey, what we've learned continuously is that you know um, rest is important on this
Mm.
journey. As much as there's a lot to be done, there's also time to rest, there's time to take a break, there's time to reflect and reevaluate. But I also know that as women, we feel guilty for taking a break, for looking after ourselves. And I am asking you this question because I know your ministry, what you do, you're big on self care, you're big on rest, you're big on women, taking time out to reflect, which many women might feel guilty doing that because, again, going back to the first question about doing, 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 if we're not doing, we almost feel like we're failing. So I wanted you to speak a little bit to that, or to any woman that might be listening and maybe can relate to this question about guilt. I know I felt like that um, at some point in my life. Now, I'm much better with it. But what would you have to say about this?
So rest is such an interesting one, and it's interesting that even though I advocate for rest and I'm a huge rest ambassador,
Mm.
sometimes I also struggle with it, right? Where I feel like souls are perishing. How can you be resting? Kind of kind of stuff. But I guess it starts with our mindset as well on what rest is. Understanding that rest isn't being lazy, because sometimes you might feel, okay, I'm just chilling or I'm taking a nap, and then that, you know, thought comes that, oh, you're lazy. Why you taking
Mm.
you shouldn't,
Yeah.
there's stuff to be done. But rest is not laziness. It's actually obedience. God commanded that we rest. Jesus, who is our example, rested. He took time to rest. He took time, and he was so busy, right? Or
Mm.
let's say he was productive, right?
Mm.
And he took time out to rest, because when we rest, what we are saying is that we can trust God to
Mm.
do those things that we think we should do. And for someone who's a type A, or always on the move. And maybe this is why I've come to understand that rest is important. You feel like, okay, let me just quickly do that, quickly do this. And then
Mm.
but sometimes it's like down tools,
Mm.
you've done your best. Because if you
Mm.
really think about it, many of us are doing our best, right? But
Mm.
sometimes we think that our best is not good enough. But we
Yeah.
are doing our best. So
Mm.
there's a song we used to, some people might know we went to same primary school. Olufalaka and I went to same primary school. Sometimes there's a song I remember that we sang in primary school. Do your best and leave the rest. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember that song.
Yes,
Do
I
your
do.
best and leave the rest, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Mm.
like, do your best and leave the
Mm.
rest. And you leaving the rest for you in order to rest, play of words there, no pun intended,
Mm.
is you're showing God that you can trust Him to
Mm.
hold everything together. Sometimes, as
Mm.
women, we think we're the ones holding everything together. We think if we're
Yeah.
not in the mix, things will not
Mm.
get done, right? Or we're rescuing our children or rescuing
Mm.
our spouses, and thinking, oh, if I don't do it, nobody will do it, or they won't do it well, or
Mm.
they won't do it
Mm.
as they should. And so
Mm.
we find ourselves doing all these things, getting overwhelmed, and then we're now irritable and all. But when we rest, we're telling God, I trust that you are the one holding everything together anyway.
Yeah.
And when
Mm.
we rest, we're also giving God space to speak to us, to reveal things to us, to restore us. And
Mm.
remember, we can't even pour from an empty cup. That's one thing
Yes.
I always say.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Imagine, your cup is empty and you're still trying to pour. Why? When I
Mm.
hear of women who, not even here, I remember growing up, I would see you know, a man and his wife, and the wife is looking way older than the husband. The husband is looking all, like um, a youngie,
Bobo.
Bobo. And then the wife is looking, I always told myself, this, it can never be me. It will never be me. It must never be
It
me.
was
But the truth is, if we are not intentional about our rest, then that is going to
mm,
be us,
yeah. Mm,
right? We're trying to carry everybody, carrying this, carrying that. No,
mm,
we need to know our limits. We need to
mm,
set our boundaries. And again, it still goes back to societal expectation. Society is telling you, as the wife, as the mother, you have to do everything. No,
yeah.
no. If
Mm,
Jesus took time to rest, I'm going to follow his example. I'm
mm-hmm,
going to follow his example and rest.
mm,
And we don't want a situation where we are now forced to rest
mm,
because our
yeah.
body is like,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
madam, please, can we
Slow
rest? And we're like,
down.
no, let's keep going. And then one day the body's like, okay, me, I'm not getting up today.
I'm not good.
I will see you later, right? We don't want to get there. So self-care is so important. And self-care isn't just manicures and pedicures, which is good. It's a good thing. But it's beyond that. It's taking time
Mm,
out and saying, you know what, at least one day of the week, I would not do any work. And it doesn't mean that the world is going to fall apart because you decided that one day a week you're not doing work. Or
mm,
you take a break from social media, you take a break from stuff.
mm,
We need to find that time to rest. So again, it starts with our mindset. If you begin to
yeah.
tell yourself, I cannot pour from an empty cup. I am
Mm,
of more value and of more use to my
yeah.
family, to my friends, to
Yeah.
my clients
Mm,
if I get fueled. And so, leads
mm,
bit by bit, and then putting systems in place. So systems in place, to ensure that you rest. So for
mm,
me, one now it's in my calendar. Once, at least once a month, I go on a personal retreat, and
mm,
everyone in my family knows now. Like last Friday? In fact, I'm getting confused because I remember. So it's last Friday, and my husband was like, "No, I thought it was first Friday." I said, "No, it's last Friday." So you can see, and by the time you do it one or two times, they are no,
yeah.
they are clocking that this
Yeah.
madam is going to carry a bag and go, right. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember one of those instances when I went on my retreat. I'll put my phone on airplane mode and all of that. And my husband was trying to reach me. And then he goes, "Why are you not picking up your phone?" At first, I wanted to reply, "Did I not tell you I'm going for retreat?" I just said, that's sorry. My phone was on airplane mode. I was praying. You now calm down, right? But the point is, that is you training your people to say, on this day, when you don't see me, you people should sort yourself out. I am on my retreat, right? So let's follow the example of Jesus. Let's stop
Mm,
fretting. Let's stop thinking that if we're not there, the world is going to stop. It's not.
mm,
I
yeah.
mean, we're important, but we're not that important, if you see what I mean.
Mm, yeah. Thank you so much. That's so important. And I think all of this that you have spoken about contributes to us becoming. And for our family members, for
Yes.
those that are close to us, they soon start to see the fruit of our becoming because they know who we
Yeah.
were before, and they see that from doing all of this, paying more attention to our wellness, resting, they see the new, who we are becoming, and that will make or help them support us even when we're going for a retreat, for example.
Hmm.
When we're doing, or we say we're going for, a master class, they know all of these things that you're doing is
Exactly.
contributing to this new person that you're becoming. So it
Yes.
soon becomes a thing where they'll say like, "Aren't you going for?
Hmm.
Aren't isn't it
Hmm.
this time of the year that you
It's
go for
yeah.
retreat?" you know. So
Exactly.
the fruits definitely when we do all of these things that you said, there's no way that the results won't come forth.
Hmm.
I mean, I have seen
Exactly.
it, not just in myself. I've seen it in many of the ladies. Um,
Mm.
in the academy and many ladies that I know that have invested in themselves in that way.
Yeah.
So it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. And also it
Mm.
almost becomes a family culture because your children, they
Exactly.
watch you and they start to almost imitate. that side
Mm-hmm.
of you because they see that what mom is becoming
Yeah.
as a result of all these things. The life is really, really good to see. So yeah, thank you so
Mm-hmm.
much. That's so important. And thank you everyone. I see a few more comments. Highlights so far. I need to sit with myself and block off the noise. Yes, and just be still. Absolutely. Be still and know. Be still and know. And also, sometimes it's truly guilt. We often mask pride with other inadequacies. Isn't that so
Mm,
true? Isn't that
mm,
so true? And yeah, sometimes it's us being on our high horse, and we make it look like we're you know we mask we mask that pride with other things
mm.
that where our shortfalls are. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's been really profound. I'm looking at the time and I can't believe how much time we it's nearly been an hour, and I don't want to keep you here for too long, but I'm so grateful for what we've learned. I feel like it's been really, really rich, and it all ties into us as women blooming and flourishing. I feel like when we talk about flourishing, sometimes we might think about material things, we might think about
Mm,
achievements, we might think about, the things that people can see or point to. But I feel like it's more of all of these things that we have spoken about, which is the inner work, which is the work of
yeah.
us becoming who we're supposed to be, becoming that person and living from the inside out, not living based on, like you've said, so many times today, so many people things pulling at us, family, work, society. There's so much pulling at us that if we're not careful, we'll be living based on expectation from all the demands
Yeah.
of life. But I think one key thing that I'm taking away from today is paying more attention to who we are becoming. And by
Yeah.
doing that, we flourish, we bloom more, and we become the best version of ourselves. So thank you so much. For me, this has been really, really um, educational. I've learned so much, and I'm sure our audience have learned so much as well. I see another comment. Yeah, we definitely need opportunities to pause and reset. Absolutely, absolutely. I think for me that has now become a um, it's a constant in my life. But I've learned and I've seen the benefits of it, and it's a no-brainer for me. I have to take time out, and I like the person I am when I come back from taking a rest.
Mm-hmm.
It's so refreshing to come away from life and the business of everything, go away and then come is like a brand new person
Yeah.
coming. Yeah, so it's so beneficial. It's so good. Thank you so much. I think we should begin to wrap this up. Otherwise, we'll be here for a long time. And before we wrap up, I just wanted to, and I know I mentioned about this earlier. I wanted you to tell everyone who is on live or anyone that will be watching the replay how they can work with you. As I said earlier, I have worked with you for 10 years. I mean, I've known you for a very long time. We went to the same primary school and all that. But in terms of my own personal growth, I know that one of the best decisions that I made, or one of the biggest blessings in my personal growth, was coming in contact with you and working with you. I know who I was before I started working with you, and I know who I'm becoming. I know I'm not there yet, but I know by a mile I'm nowhere near what I used to be. So for me, I will shout it on the rooftops that if anyone is seeking growth, if anyone is seeking personal development, if anybody is seeking living from the inside out, for me, this is what I know. And it's the key part of my growth is, becoming a part of Super Working Mom and working with you on so many other levels. So can you please tell us, I mean, all the women, even the men, anyone listening, how do
Yeah.
we connect with you? Yeah.
Um, how do you connect with me? You can connect with me on Instagram. If you search, I'm the only Detola Amure in the whole wide world. I believe. So if you search for Detola Amure, it's me. Yes, it's me.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, I tend to talk a lot more about the productivity company, the other organization I run. And so executive coaching, training, and all of that. So men, women, interestingly, I just finished working with an executive, did an executive coaching session with a top um senior leader, a male. So I do work with men in that capacity, or with women, especially Christian women who are looking for purpose, looking for the things you mentioned, finding purpose, how do I become more productive? How do I maximize my time? Then you want to check Super Working Mom. Again, if you
mm,
Google Super Working Mom, you would find us.
mm.
Um, I also work with women in the corporate space. In fact, let me plug in. I'm doing a webinar tomorrow.
I was going
If
to
you're
ask you
free,
about that. Yeah,
I just remembered now. If you're
yeah,
free at 12 o'clock, so this
yes,
is one of the evening things we do in Super Working Mom. This is more a lunch and learn
yeah.
on how to what's it called again? I can't remember what it's called. Breaking the leadership block. So I,
Leadership.
I
Yeah,
talk a lot about blocks because the truth is, if you're feeling blocked, then you can't move forward. So
yeah.
let's understand what the blocks are, especially in your leadership. So if you're a leader, you run your own organization or you work with a team, you want to join that.
Mm.
The links we'll probably
Yeah,
add
I
that.
was going to
No, not
say
midnight, in
some
the
of the things
afternoon.
that
Lunch and learn.
lunch and midnight.
Not
No.
midnight and learn. We don't do midnight. We are asleep. The other thing I should mention is let's prioritize our sleep, especially as we're growing
Mm,
older. As soon as we
mm.
finish this, I'm shutting everything down and going straight to bed.
Going to
So
bed.
no more burning the midnight oil. We leave that to the Gen Zs. Even
Mm-hmm.
that's, but my
Mm-hmm.
sisters and brothers, sleep, please prioritize your sleep. So yeah, so I think I'll send links to you and then you can add that
Yeah,
to this live session here. And then where else
yeah,
am I? Yeah, LinkedIn,
yes,
Instagram. Search for
mm,
Detola Amure, one and only.
yeah,
You find me. I'm happy to do consultation calls with people
mm,
depending on where they are on their journey, and then from
mm,
there we can now decide. Okay, this is what I would suggest, or this is what I recommend
mm,
to do. But yeah, that's
mm.
that's it really. And I've got my
Absolutely.
books on
Yes.
Amazon as
Oh,
well.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
There's so much. There's so much.
there's so much. There's a lot,
You're
but we
the gift
thank
that
God.
keeps on giving. Yeah, honestly, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Mm.
So please connect with Detola and all. I would put all of those links in the description. All of the information about how to connect with Coach Dates in the description. And it's for me. This is what I know that has worked, not just for me but for many people. So please, please, please have a look. I also wanted to say that Super Working Mom, we have a community where you can join for free on Mighty Networks. I'll put the link as well. In case you want to just have a taste and just have a feel of what the community is like. It's all well and good us talking about it, but I think when you're in there, it makes more sense. It's difficult to explain how we really are. But yeah, thank you so much, and thank you everyone for being here. I'm gonna ask Coach Dates for her wrap. What's the right word now? To kind of summarize and any word. I don't want to say last words, but you know what I mean. Like
Final,
what
final words. Final words for this session. Yeah.
for
I mean,
this
there's a lot.
one? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. There's a lot that we could unpack. We talked about
yeah.
rest, but even in the
Mm,
resting, what are you doing during your time of rest? That could be prayer, that could be
mm,
meditation, it could be journaling. I'm a big, big, big fan of
yeah.
journaling. So I would say, and then what are the words that you're saying to yourself? You want to be sure that the words, your self talk is so important, because if you're
Mm,
saying the wrong things to yourself, then you're expecting the wrong things, right?
yeah.
But if you're saying the right things to yourself, then you expect the right things. And to know
Mm,
the right things to say, you need to have your source from somewhere,
mm,
right? And studying the word of God, the Bible is such a beautiful, beautiful book from God Himself, the manual, right, that He has given us on how to live life. So that's where we can get the right affirmations, the right words
Mm,
to speak to ourselves. And also, one thing I'm learning is to be kind to myself. And because I
mm,
know that I can be hard on myself. And it's something someone said to me recently, be kind to yourself. So I want to encourage us, be kind to yourself. Speak,
mm,
words that, you know, how when a friend comes to you and you're, um, comforting them or encouraging them, do that to
mm.
yourself.
Yeah.
Encourage yourself, advise yourself, speak
Mm,
nicely to yourself. So that is
mm,
one thing that I am doing in this season, and I want to encourage women, men who may be watching this to do that. And remember that you are not here by mistake. You have
mhm.
a purpose, your voice is relevant, and the world is waiting to hear your voice. So stop
Wow, that's the mic drop moment. Like,
there.
ah, so good. I can never ever get used to listening to you. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing so much with us today. There's so much to go and chew on and digest and rethink, reevaluate. So much to do with what you've shared with us today. So I just wanted to say thank you for your time today, and thank you everyone for staying with us to the end. Please let's show Coach Jade some love in the comments. I already see lots of thank yous to Coach Jade. We know Coach is amazing, such a blessing to our generation, and we're grateful to have you. Yes, I think this is the point where we wrap up because, again, I could be here with you for as
Yeah.
long as
I
possible.
feel like we barely
Um,
scratched the surface. Well, it's
there's
okay.
so much. There's so much. I'm just really holding back, but I'm sure if we ask you, I'm sure you would come
Of
back
course.
again
Definitely.
to have a chat with us. But thank you so much. This has been powerful, and I'm sure this has blessed everyone that has been on with us. So yeah, this is the end of the live. Thank you so much, everyone. And please be on the lookout for our next live session, which I will announce shortly. But for the meantime, bye bye, everyone, and see you all very soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you,
you. Bye,
Lufalake.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.